Hello, NSL students. Welcome to another week of online learning. Yay, can't wait. We are starting week 4 this week. And as you know, last week we began Unit 6, which is talking about foreign policy. So I hope that you had a chance to view my intro video about that from last week and complete the assignment of how foreign policy is made. How do we decide who makes it? What different pieces do they make? What do we decide? Those kinds of things. So this week, what we are going to be doing is taking a look at specifically what kinds of foreign policy tools we have. So once we know who's going to be doing the action, we need to decide what exactly are we actually going to do? What kind of action are we going to take? So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction to that to help you with your assignment as you go through this week. So this is a little diagram that we are going to share with you that you'll have access to that talks about the different tools that we have for foreign policy. So when we're deciding how to interact with another country, we have two main options first. Either we are deciding to reward a country in some way, or we are deciding to punish a country in some way. It depends on what the action was, obviously. So within those two categories, there are 5 other categories of where you go from there. So basically our 5 main tools that we have for foreign policy are diplomatic, economic, cultural, political, and military. So when you're looking at diplomatic, that's just kind of talking about any kind of more of the peaceful negotiations with countries. So it's more the let's talk it out approach kind of thing. Rather than just going straight for a country in some way, it might be some way that you're just trying to talk it out with the person. So that's what we mean by diplomatic. With economic, that's just, I hope we know what that means at this point, anything to do with money pretty much. So is there some way we're either going to reward or punish them in a money sense? Next, we have cultural, which is kind of just some kind of societal tool that we use with foreign policy. So it doesn't really fall under any of the other tools where it's not like a political thing. It's more of just what's something else that goes on in the world that either we could reward or punish. Next, we have political, which is talking about actually in terms of things like elections, who are the leaders, those kinds of things. How is the government run? That's what we're talking about with political. And finally, we have military, which is any kind of weapons involved, the hand-to-hand combat, those kinds of things. So what you typically think of when you think of war. So these 5 tools here are the same for both rewards and punishments. These are the same 5 tools here: diplomatic, economic, cultural, political, and military. But exactly how those tools are used depends on if you are rewarding them or if you're punishing them. So I'll just give you quick examples of each, and then you can look through this on your own a little more. First, on our reward side of things, if we're talking about diplomatic, which is, again, that kind of peaceful side of things where you talk it out, one thing might be where you grant diplomatic recognition, meaning we might decide to say, we are officially recognizing this place as an official country. We are going to validate them and say, yes, you are a country. We do choose to recognize you as someone who exists as a country. So that's what we mean by grant diplomatic recognition. If we want to punish someone on the diplomatic side of things, we could instead do something like seek UN action. So something else we included for you is over here on the right side. We have a glossary of some terms that maybe are a little bit difficult that you might not know off the top of your head. One of those terms is UN, which stands for the United Nations. And the United Nations is basically this organization that we have to kind of maintain world peace. So it's this organization that has some representatives from a bunch of different places in the country, and they kind of seek to find a way, how can we make sure that our entire our entire world is maintaining peaceful relationships. So anyways, back to diplomatic, if we're talking about seeking UN action with a punishment for a country, if a country did something bad to us, we might turn to the UN, the United Nations, and say, how can you help us with this problem? We need to punish these people for doing something wrong to us. All right, so that's our diplomatic side of things, rather than just going straight at them in war, for example. Next with reward, if we have economic, One example here might be reducing tariffs. So again, a tariff is one of the words that we identified for you over here. So a tariff is a tax on imports or exports. So it means if we're trading with a country, we are going to make those goods and services we're transporting either a little bit more expensive or a little bit less expensive. If we are rewarding them, we might reduce tariffs, which means we lower the taxes. So if we are making a product here in the US and we send it to another country, we're going to say, we're not going to tax you quite as high because we appreciate that you did this other thing to help us out. On the other side, if you're punishing a country, something you could do is increase tariffs and say, you did us wrong, so we're going to make you pay a little more when we trade goods with you. Moving to cultural, one big example could be, for example, the Olympics. So of course the Olympics is something that takes place throughout the whole world, but if one country did something way wrong to another country, we could say, you're not going to be included in the Olympics. You kind of crossed the line there. Sorry, I just realized I'm talking about punishment here. So excluding from the Olympics could be, you did something wrong here. We're not going to let you be part of these Olympic Games, which are kind of supposed to be this who's the best of the best in athletic competitions and everything. You don't deserve to be part of that. If we're rewarding the country, then we can say, all right, you are going to be included in the Olympics. We like what you're doing as a country. You'll be part of it. Sorry that I got those a little switch there with reward and punishment. Next, for political, some things we could do there are maybe funding political campaigns for favored candidates. So if we like a specific political candidate in another country, then we might kind of support them monetarily. We might give them money to help them make sure that they're elected in their country if we like what that person or that country did for us, for example. On the flip side of things with political, some kind of punishment could be censoring the media. We might say that we don't like what a certain country is doing and we're going to censor this, which means suppressing the material. And if they release some kind of news thing or whatever, we're not going to release that. We're going to keep some things basically like secret. You're not releasing it to the public. And lastly, we have military. If a country does something good and we want to reward them militarily, then maybe we do something like we build bases to protect our allies. So if they are an ally of us, it means we support them. We have agreed to kind of help each other out. And if we are trying to reward them through military, then we might build some military bases to say, we're going to help you guys out during this war. Even if the war doesn't involve you at all, two countries are feuding, we have an ally with one of those countries, we're going to help them out during the war pretty much. Whereas on the other hand, if something's happened, there's two countries feuding, this other country did something really bad to us, so we're going to punish them by not helping them during a war. We're going to do something bad, or it could be we might assassinate their leaders, which means unfortunately you kill the person that's in charge of their country there. Okay, so definitely take your own time to look through these more. I just kind of wanted to introduce the idea to you of each of these. Again, check out the glossary on the side here. I took a lot of time to go through and make sure I defined a lot of these words that maybe you don't know on your own already, or to find a more simple way of defining those words. So please check those out. If, let me stop this real quick. If you have any other questions of how to complete the worksheet, I am more than happy to help you. Feel free to email me if you need some help. So, sorry, let me clarify something real quick. That worksheet you don't have to complete anything on. The worksheet you will have to do is this one right here. And basically there's 8 different scenarios here that are real world, real life things that have actually happened. And what you need to do is read the scenario and then determine, after looking at the scenario, would we want to punish that country or would we want to reward that country? And then decide in which way, how. If we say we want to punish them, do we want to do it through diplomatic, military, political, economic, or cultural, which are all those tools that we just talked about in the other document. So what I want you to do is just, you can highlight which of these terms apply. So do you punish, and then maybe diplomatic. And then in this box over here, I want you to explain what exactly would you do and why would you do that. That's the really big part I'm looking for. There isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer in what would you do. On this part on the left, where is it punish, reward, there's not necessarily one right answer. What I'm really looking for is your explanation of why. So your why should not just be one short, quick word or something like that. You should definitely tell me, why do you think this country deserves to be rewarded or punished? And why did you choose the method that you chose to punish them? So there are 8 different scenarios here. You will need to pick 5 of them to do. So please make sure that you follow those directions carefully. There are 8 scenarios, but you need to pick 5 to do. You can pick any 5 at all. You can do the last 5, first 5, middle 5, any random combination of those, but you need to pick 5 of the 8 to do. Okay? So good luck with that. Like I said, please let me know. Email me if you need some help. If you want to do a Zoom or something, I am still here, more than happy to help you, and hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your week. And I miss you all so much. Stay safe.